Welcome to the shit show, everybody. This is Biting the Bullet, episode number 11. We are joined with the Car Campit of Fadcast.
Hashtag not a militia, home of the fighting Mongooses.
Hashtag Khloe Kardashian of podcast.
And lighting fire to the blunt of allowable opinion.
Fuck yes.
Yeah, we got it.
Take three and we fucking nail it, boys.
Yeah, that was a lot of takes.
Third time's the charm.
That was a lot of takes. How many takes do you guys usually do?
It's usually
about
three.
fucking three.
Yeah, this is about average.
Yeah, usually.
We always say
you
we
just
should write this down, and we never fucking do.
Yep. Well, it's because I'm pretty sure I say something different every time. I just kind of make it up as I go.
Yeah. That's fun. Hey, man.
That's the story of the life of this podcast. Is just making it up as we go along.
Well, thanks for having me on, guys. This is really exciting. I don't know if we were recording earlier, but I would like to reiterate that I love this podcast. I love the niche that it fills. So this is great.
Yeah, we're really happy to have you on, man. Like we're super stoked to have you guys on. We're gonna have Bird on eventually.
No, you don't need to do that. You don't need that. No, let me tell you something about Bird. Bird is getting uppity today. I don't know if you've seen this, but he just surpassed me in followers, and so he needs to get knocked down. I don't know exactly how I'm gonna do it yet, but it's coming.
It's coming.
Just trust me,
dude. I feel that pain because I was always talking shit to Luke. That I was getting pissed off every time I spiked in followers. He would spike at the same rate, and stay about 10 ahead of me. And the second I started talking shit, within a week, he surpassed me by like 50 people. I'm like, all right, dude, fuck.
It's infuriating. It's infuriating. I've led Bird by I've literally led Bird. So I mean, we've had the podcast together for like a year and a half now. So like we're very, very close all the time. But I've led him by 20 to 50, I would say, the entire time. And now that he's finally caught up, I'm beside myself. I can't handle it.
It's because he upped his shitpost game. His shitpost
I know.
game for the last couple of weeks has been amazing.
He's been texting me. He's like, I'm going to start shitposting way more. I mean, I'm going through. He texted me his strategy, and he was like, I guarantee it's going to work. I was like, no, it's not. And I was like, God fucking damn it, it worked. So frustrating. But,
that's what I do. I mean, I sit at work, and my job's pretty lame right now. Like, I don't have to do very much. And I just sit there at work and just start shit posting on things. And I don't start until I see Jared post something first in the morning. And then I'm like, all right, well, I can't let him like start catching up.
Yeah.
So I start commenting on his, and then I start commenting on other people's just to like, get some clout.
Just stir the pot, get clout, gain clout.
I just don't care.
That's because you're so far behind Typo, it doesn't matter anymore.
Which one of you has more followers?
I do.
Nice.
Yeah. I think I've got like 15 today just because that recent thread blew up. So I'm like
the back the blue one?
Yeah, the back the blue.
Oh,
you gain followers off of that.
Oh yeah. I usually gain on all of those. Like I gain a crap ton of followers for some reason.
Followers.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think you have a little bit more than me. I have 520. So
yeah. But I don't have more than Bird.
Damn it.
Yeah. It's got to change.
All right. Yeah. So on to the reason where we actually have you on this podcast.
Yeah, we're doing crypto today.
Doing cryptocurrency today because I know fuck all about cryptocurrency.
Yeah,
I know it's stuff on the computer that people mine somehow. And it's worth something.
Yep,
basically
magic internet money. Yeah. So we went around before we were recording. We went around the horn, just getting a basic background of everyone on the podcast, and it sounds like overall, it sounds like fairly new to the currency. So that's how I'm going to cater it. And like I said before, to all the Bitcoiners listening, particularly Rollo. Don't fucking needle me. If you needle me over poor analogies, I'm going to come to your house and pour water on your phone. It will happen. It's going to happen. So I'm just gonna give an overview, and I've come up with a couple fun analogies for Marines to understand what this thing is. And I swear to fucking God, if anybody comes at me, I'm gonna freak out.
Yeah, it sounds like you had to make a lesson plan for kindergartners.
I mean, making a lesson plan for kindergartners and Marines is about the same thing. So
yeah, we both eat crayons.
Well, you got to make it goddamn airtight, or else Rollo is just up in your shit. Like,
well, that's what started it on our thing. Like I made one post, and it had like something completely unrelated. It felt like, and then it was like Rollo
just careens into the thread, like,
and exactly. And it was like him and then Sal the Agorist, and they were just going back and forth for like 6 hours. I was like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. It got nasty. The whole space really got nasty about 2 years ago. I mean, it's always had a capacity to get pretty heated. It's a lot of like really, really intelligent people and really autistic people and really passionate people. And I use autism as more of a sign of praise than but it is the situation. And so things can get really heated. And I for one am a little bit tired of that aspect of it. But it is fun to drop in on from time to time.
It's fun to watch.
Yeah. So I think so maybe I'll start out with a basic overview of crypto or Bitcoin versus fiat or gold or something like that. I mean, is that a good place to start? And then you guys can just pepper me with questions and we can proceed from there.
Yeah, 100%. I think you getting going would be a better way to get this through. Because
yeah. So prior to over the course of history, there's been various attempts at fiat currencies, and then attempts by certain people to come back to sound money via commodity money like gold and silver and stuff like that. And up until recently, with the technologies that we've developed in the late 20th century, really the only option for sound money advocates was metallic monies or commodity monies like gold and silver and such. And by sound money, I mean money that can't be arbitrarily inflated by a government. As you guys know, like the fiat money, I'll say standard, quote unquote, that we're on right now is basically that central banks can print all of the money that they want, or not. They don't even have to print anymore. Just create ones and zeros, and it's in the economy. They can buy assets with it. They can basically buy it into the economy. They can lend it into the economy. They can print it. They can any number of nefarious things. And this creates a lot of problems. And this is something that Friedrich Hayek won a Nobel Peace Prize or a Nobel Prize for in 72 or 73, which was Austrian business cycle theory, which outlines the problems with the long and short of it was fuckery with the money supply and the boom and bust cycle that comes from it. So Austrian libertarians and those who are less trusting of central planning have sought to up until 2009 up until the late 20th century have more or less sought to try to get the country back on a gold standard. And that is so that there is no fuckery, or at least less fuckery. The fuckery must be ultimately accounted for because you can't just print money into existence. So if you want to start a drug war, ultimately everybody has to get invoiced for it. Right. And then when that invoice is coming into your mailbox and you say, oh, I'm spending, $10,000 a year on a drug war, with no tangible benefits to myself, I don't know if I really want that anymore. And, if you want to divide out a $4 trillion war in Iraq, and I don't have to tell you guys, the benefits to the people of that war in Iraq, and all of that were divided out and sent as an invoice, monthly invoice to the entire population of America, there would be a revolution tomorrow. Unfortunately, through money printing, that can more or less be avoided. It can be kicked down the road. And to the next generation, or at least to the next few years or decades or what have you. I mean, we're still paying off debt from 100 years ago. So, so what libertarians of the late 20th century started realizing, and particularly technologically savvy ones, and I'll just refer to them as cypherpunks, very generally, was that there was potential with cryptography, the internet, and a number of other technological advances to actually bring money to improve on the technology of gold. And the problem with gold and silver and commodity money is that ultimately it leads to centralization, because in a global economy, I can't effectively pay somebody in Great Britain with gold, or I can't even pay. I'm in Texas. I can't even really effectively pay somebody in Kansas with gold. It's just, not really conducive to the type of economy that we're in right now. And so it leads to some element of centralization, which can then be fucked with.
Right.
Because ultimately people start to have to trust, central banks, clearinghouses, where they say you can deposit your gold here and we'll issue certificates for that gold. And you can deal with those certificates, or electronic certificates, essentially. And you can deal with those certificates, but then at the same time, they can lend out more than they have. They can do any number of things. It's a central. I mean, who knows?
Yeah, because they don't have any Overwatch, right?
Yeah, or even if they do, the Overwatch might even be worse. I mean, you look at
look at everything that's happening today.
Yeah, exactly. So
basically, like the way I'm taking it right now is that from what we all know from our current money system, where you could basically arbitrarily print as much money as you want. And so what that thing that we go against is that you have these central planners that can kind of arbitrarily affect the wealth in our actual economy outside of market forces. So depending on whether or not the market's up or down, these forces that have central control, these central planners over their current money supply, are able to arbitrarily affect that. And then a lot of the arguments that I used to be a big proponent for, and then maybe you're convincing me right now for gold, was that it doesn't allow those central planners to affect the money as much. They have a limit to that effect that stops them from being able to fuck with it as much. So are you about to seduce me with the fact that Bitcoin is completely 100% invincible to central planning, that you can the argument that at the very least that you have more limiters on central planners arbitrarily affecting your currency and the wealth that's in your pocket without the actual market?
Right. So I'm going to try. So guarantee is an interesting word. I think of Bitcoin as a bit of a kamikaze mission. There's no consolation prize. It either does it or it doesn't. Now the technologies that are used in Bitcoin can be picked up and tried again. But I mean, you're talking about a delay of out of our lifetime, probably. Well, maybe not out of our lifetime, but this is a kamikaze mission. There's enough fuel to get to your destination, and I am becoming increasingly convinced. And I've been in the space in Bitcoin for a while, and I'll tell you that we just went through a bear market, and this bear market was like the most optimistic bear market. It was way more optimistic than the last one. The last one was still like, ooh, should I just get out and go back to gold, or should I? And this one, everybody's like, yeah, no, we got it. Like we're going to get this, and that's anecdotal for sure. But there's a couple of reasons why I think that it has a really, really solid chance of supplanting fiat currency and ending a lot of the nefarious activities of central planners and central bankers, going forward. I don't know exactly what that timeline is. I've seen estimates ranging from, 10 years to 100 years. But I think that if it's going to win, it's going to be in 10 to 20 years. If it doesn't, then we regroup. But if this particular one, rendition is going to win, I think it's actually going to be sooner than a lot of people think. But the primary problem that Bitcoin seeks to solve from gold and the gold standard. Well, first of all, let me back up. I think a lot of the. Hold
on, I have a quick question.
Sure. Go ahead.
What's a win? What's winning?
I think a win. That's a great question.
It's a toughie.
That's a great question. I think that most people would say a win is a lot of people talk about hyper Bitcoinization. I think most people would say that a win is Bitcoin becoming global money. Okay. I'll take my wins as they come. I already think there have been some wins. For instance, I think that the idea that in the last month, even there have been congressmen and presidents talking about the fact that fiat money can't last and the problems with it. Now, they don't think that they're outlining the problems of it, but if you read what they're saying, they're outlining the problems with it. Now, that's a Republican
senator, just recently, this last week, that was like, I fully endorse Bitcoin. I think it's a great idea because it and it was I thought it was interesting because
from my home state.
Was it
from
really?
My home state.
Yeah.
From North Carolina, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Yeah.
And then on the flip side of that, the thing that's gotten me way more interested in Bitcoin all of a sudden is the fact that the lizard people in the government are on the other side of that are actually scared of this thing. When you have somebody within the government that's literally saying that this outside currency is a threat to our dollar.
Yes.
It's a threat to our power. That makes me a very interested human being. Like,
yeah. Now,
and then when you have somebody like President Trump saying the same thing too, it's just like, all right, now this is like it's affecting people.
Exactly. It's scaring the right people. And that's actually what got me interested in at first. The first time that I was interested was when I was reading about because I was a libertarian at the time, and obviously like you could not read I was on Reddit, maybe this was probably in 2010, 11, 12, and you couldn't be on there without reading about Bitcoin. And I saw the Ross Ulbricht case, and that's what inspired me to really get involved, because I was like, holy shit, they're scared. Like that there is a reason that they're scared about this. And so that's what really got me to start reading more about it. And then I'm ashamed to say that I didn't take the next steps of getting truly dedicating myself to really understanding it, which is which is an ongoing process. It's not like you ever really achieve full. It's just such a bottomless pit of like information. You can lose yourself in any one direction.
Yeah, that was going to be like my main thing. Like what actually is crypto, like currencies? Like what are they? Like it's
man.
You keep hearing things like, especially for us, because honestly it took us forever to even try and figure out how to start a podcast. So hearing things like blockchain and I don't know. There was like the 12
white paper,
whatever.
What the fuck is a white paper?
Yeah, like all these terms, and I don't need you to go in and be like start defining terms for me, because that's mostly stuff that I should just do on my own. But like a general overview of like obviously it's not a physical thing, but it has some kind of paper trail or some kind of thing associated to it.
What's giving this thing its value?
Well,
where's the value? Just trust? Like, is that just trust in it, or what?
Well, no, I mean, what gives, each individual gives it its value, right? Like value is subjective, so like each individual, but it has properties that can be valued. For one is that you can transmit value without censorship, without potentially. Kind of anonymously. That's a little bit of a gray area right now. You can do it instantly, or it'll at least appear instantly and then be confirmed within some reasonable amount of time. And you can do it globally with to anyone without any KYC, know your customer laws or anti-money laundering laws or anything like that. Anybody can have access to this thing without anyone's permission. What part of to kind of angle into what your question is, those properties make it valuable, and then it's kind of tied to the physical world through the act of mining, and mining is the expenditure of capital through electricity. In order to transfer that capital into this currency. And there's probably a lot of people that could say that could state that a lot more eloquently than I can. But that's kind of the system that we're working with. It's this ability to transfer value anywhere you want without anybody's permission. And the fact that there is a limited number of Bitcoins, they must be mined using real world electricity. All of this brings the system value.
Got it. Okay.
And I bet that Rollo could probably do a much more eloquent job of kind of rounding that out than I can.
Oh, you're just giving me the freaking general idea. I'll just DM his ass and ask questions.
Yeah. Just pepper. Yeah.
We're gonna put him in a group chat and just annoy the fuck out of him for the next year and a half.
Yeah. No, Rollo will respond to any DM you give him about Bitcoin. I guarantee you that. I guarantee you that.
I don't know who we're talking about. We're talking about Rollo from the Rollo and Slappy show. It's another great little libertarian podcast that's out there. That was my first podcast experience, was being on.
Is that show. Right?
Yeah,
I didn't know that. I didn't know that was your first podcast. Yeah. That was a great podcast. I think we had you on like right after that.
Yeah, it was like right after.
I think they Rollo and Slappy were probably. I mean, they've been going forever. They've been going longer than us. They were probably the first I hesitate to say this in case I'm overlooking somebody, but I think we had them on in the first 10 episodes and probably the first people that we had like, a recurring relationship with. Now we're, me, Rollo, and Slappy and Bird are super close. We're on text thread or whatever.
You guys are all awesome, and I love it when you guys go on each other's show. It's always
I appreciate it. We haven't done a crossover in a minute. We need to do that.
Yeah, you need to pump that shit back out.
Yeah,
I know you've been having Aaron on, and I always enjoy that.
I know,
motherfucker.
So like I hadn't listened to the Moose.
The Moose mindset.
Yeah, the Moose mindset. But I listened to it like I think it was like yesterday or the day before, and I was just dying laughing at Aaron.
Dude, Aaron is a nut job, man.
I know, he's awesome. He's gonna. We want to have him on one time.
Oh, you gotta have him on
because I think it would just make the show hilarious.
Get a little semen into our podcast.
Yeah. He's been on our show he's practically a co-host at this point.
I just love that you're I'm even rooting for him to be homeless now. Come on, man, be a statistic.
Be under the fucking bridge with a needle in your arm. God damn it, just like this country wants you to.
It's so great. It's so great. And then the whole fag merch, and I was like, I am so behind this.
I do not listen to the Fagcast.
Yeah, it was so great. And then the whole thing about what is Childerberg, investigate Childerberg, and the story about the people looking at you from across or
wearing
the shirt. I was dying laughing
because Jacob is a big dude. I mean, he's like 6'6" or 6'5" and built, and so he's just towering over people with this goofy ass investigation. We were like, look at that.
That is awesome.
So funny.
You were the one that was at Childerberg, right? Carr, not Bird.
Yeah, Bird couldn't make it, but I was down there.
Yeah, well, we heard from Theodore, the crowdfunding government guy. He said that everyone knows about our podcast.
Oh yeah, dude. Yeah,
people be talking about us and shit.
Oh yeah. You guys are big ahead. That's what I was saying before we started recording, man. You guys fill such a cool niche, and it's great that you guys are doing it. It's awesome. Yeah, everybody in our close circle knows about you guys for sure. I mean,
yeah,
that actually kind of surprises me because there's a lot of veterans I know that fucking hate the government, dude.
Yeah, I'm surprised nobody's really done it. And we were talking, Jared and I were talking about it, and there's there's a few vets that kind of do libertarian things, but they're kind of just they're like the officers. We don't we're enlisted and we don't really like the officers. I mean, there's a few that we like now that we've met since we've been out and stuff, but they just kind of, it's always been a very divided thing.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how the ones that are libertarians kind of act. And then it just doesn't, the people that would really get this stuff, and especially our podcast, are the enlisted, really messed up dudes that live in a van down by the river and they just have a phone.
The facts.
All the facts.
Well, I think it's also because there's a lot of veterans that kind of still think me and Luke say we're pretty much anarchists and Jared's a minarchist, but there's still a lot of veterans that are
always tossing that dig in, huh? Typo.
Yeah.
That just gotta remind everybody that I'm a dirty sadist.
You gotta remind them of the pecking order.
Yeah. I gotta let them know that me and Luke are at the top and he's right below us.
We're better than you.
Down at the bottom with all the other commies.
But I don't know. I think there's a lot of veterans that somehow still think there's good in the military and in even police. There's a lot of veterans that support police still. They can't do no wrong type thing.
I am fully willing to talk to somebody who believes there's still some good in the military than those dipshit blue line guys. Jesus Christ, those guys are.
Oh yeah, that's the funny thing about those few vets that say oh yeah, the military is great. If you actually talk to them in a one-on-one personal conversation about their experiences in the military, they just shit on it the whole time.
Yeah,
that guy was a fucking idiot. This dude was in charge of me. I did this stupid shit. Yeah. That was stupid. That was dumb.
Yep.
But then it's but then if you ask them as kind of an outside of the box, just meeting them oh, you were a Marine. That's cool. And they're yeah, man, I served my country. It was great. And then 3 beers later, they're talking about how they hated their fucking lives for 4 years.
Well, in a van down by the river.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's why I think that what you guys are doing is really important because I can't do that. I can't do that. I can't come in and or I mean I can, but it's not very effective for me to come in and be like, oh yeah, the military's fucking stupid. Oh, you guys are stupid. You know, like I just can't. I can't speak, and I can't speak the language. I can't. I mean, my dad's a veteran, and so like to some degree, I've had, you know, whatever. If you're raised by a veteran, there's certain things that, you know, you go through and whatever. But you know, I didn't go through. I don't know the language, and so it's great to have some folks out there that are you know, it's not about like, you know, calling people out as dickheads, except for that one Thin Blue Line guy we were all talking to today.
Yeah, fuck him. I don't need him.
Definitive dickhead. But it's you know, it's just about speaking that language and being like, yo, investigate Childerberg.
Investigate Childerberg.
Oh, dude, I'm so stoked for that next year.
Yeah, I can't wait for you guys to
We're
go.
fucking excited. For anybody that doesn't know, Mr. Carcampy here with a few other selected individuals created a basically troll for the Libertarian Convention in fucking Texas. That's what I'm taking it as. Like, I'm gonna set up my own thing right next to you guys because fuck you. That's
yeah, dude. I can't wait. We definitely need to have like a map, like a strategical map of where everybody's camping.
Where everybody's
love the
located.
mongooses and the.
oh yeah, 100%.
Oh my god, that's
Dude, I listened to the.
Let's ask everybody: mongoose section or non-mongoose?
Yeah,
section?
mongoose. Yeah, it's like a smoking or non-smoking back in the 90s. Mongoose or non-mongoose?
There's just like a giant fire pit on one side, and then like it's all dark on the other side. You don't go over there.
You guys want to have gay sex at 3 a.m. or not have gay sex at 3 a.m.? Okay. Okay, non-mongoose. Okay.
You're not a fag? All right, get out of here.
The fuck out of my face with that heterosexual bullshit.
Oh, you brought your girlfriend? Okay, non-mongoose. Yeah. Stay the hell away from over here.
When I listened to this Dave Smith episode where Scott Horton was on, and he was like talking about like, I think I'm gonna go to Childeberg this year, and I was like, oh, well, if it's got Scott's attention, I should be fucking going to this.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I had to bail last minute, but yeah, it would have been. He was gonna bring his boat. It was gonna be fucking cool.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
I could hang out with Scott Horton on his boat. I could right there. It'd be perfect.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing. Yeah, you guys gotta have him on, man.
Oh yeah, he followed me on Twitter, and I geeked out about it for like 12 hours. I was like, oh my god, guys, Scott Horton followed me on Twitter.
Dude, he's rad. He's a great guy. Great guy.
Yeah. All right. So now that we went on our rant,
first of many. Tangent. First tangent going completely off course. All right, I'm back trying to get back on.
Okay. Where do we need to pick up?
I think the last thing I had asked was we were talking about blockchain and things like that. Things of that nature.
Okay. So maybe I'll just explain to you what blockchain is.
Yeah.
So
please.
What I didn't even hear what he said.
He said please. But it sounded like so defeated. Like please tell me.
Okay, so basically what this is again, it's a cliche, but it's a distributed ledger. So you can just imagine that there are we don't exactly know how many, but let's just say use the number 10,000 accountants that are distributed around the world. And as soon as one accountant hears about an incoming transaction, he tells all the other accountants basically instantly. I mean, just through software. And all of these accountants keep track of all of the transactions that happen on the Bitcoin network. So you need to hook up with one of these accountants. And if you want to send a transaction across the network, you just send it to one of those accountants and he informs everyone else. And all of these accountants are responsible for keeping an up-to-date ledger of each Bitcoin. And the blockchain traces back every transaction to its original point of origin. So when I talk about mining, miners secure the network and they're rewarded for it. And when they secure, what I mean by secure the network is they confirm transactions that people are submitting to the accountants. They do this by solving cryptographic puzzles, and for that they are rewarded. Now, right now, they are rewarded with a block subsidy, and right now I think it is 12 and a half Bitcoins per block, and they get to keep the transaction fees. of everybody that is wanting to send the transaction. So here is the first analogy. Now that may have been a lot of mumbo jumbo, and you guys might be a little bit lost. I'm looking across the crowd. Everybody's looking a little.
I understood at least 15% of those words.
Okay. So here's my analogy, and I'm gonna type up. Here's the analogy. I'm gonna reiterate that if Rolo needles me about this, I'm just gonna fucking lose it and buy a plane ticket to Philly.
You already know that he's gonna needle you about it.
Oh yeah, I know.
Saying it.
All right. So here's the analogy, right? Is that when you want to transmit value over this network, when you want to make a payment. So let's say, Luke, you want to buy an AK-47 from Jared, right? It's $500, say. Or let's just say it's 1 Bitcoin, like just to make it easy. So you want to transfer 1 Bitcoin over the network to Jared for this AK-47. Basically, what you're doing is you're lining up at a bus stop. You want access to this to the network, and there's a bus driver that is waiting to confirm your transaction. He does that by letting you on the bus to take you down to your destination.
And that's the accountant.
Yes.
Okay.
And I'm kind of simplifying this, but I think it'll help you guys out. You have to compete with everybody else at the bus stop to get on that bus, right? Now, you don't necessarily need to get on the first bus. Probably, you guys live together, right? You don't need to be on the next bus. You can be on the second bus or third bus or fourth bus, and so maybe you don't have to pay as much. But to be on that next bus, you need to hold up a certain amount of money, and the bus driver will see it and say, "Okay, come on board." Right? Okay. That's a market. That's a fee market to be confirmed in the next block or the next bus. Each bus is a block. Man, I'm really hoping this analogy is as good as I thought it was when I was playing volleyball earlier. So over the course, so there, according to the software, the Bitcoin protocol, there should be a bus every 10 minutes, roughly. And there will be a global crowd of people that want their transaction included in that bus. Some of them are willing to pay higher fees. Some of them are willing to pay lower fees. And so naturally, that bus driver is probably going to select all of the people with the higher fees.
Right.
And he'll take, let's say he has 20 spots in the seat. So he'll take the guy that's offering $20, $19, $18, $17, all the way down. The guys that are offering 5 cents, maybe they don't get on that time, but maybe the next time they want to get on when there's not a crowd around, they'll get on. No problem.
Okay.
So the reason that so the bus driver gets all of those fees from the people that are waving their money in the air to get confirmed on the next block so that Jared can hand you the AK-47.
Okay, so he's the miner. The bus driver is the miner, right?
I'm kind of combining two things. Okay.
So it's okay. I get what you're going.
I'll parse it out afterwards, but that I'm kind of combining nodes and miners, but yeah. But you're clearly on the right track. So basically, I can't remember who was buying the AK-47 from whom, but
I was buying the AK-47 from Jared.
Okay, so
Jared for me. Come on.
Jared will want to wait for that transaction to confirm because it's not official until that bus driver's taken it to its destination.
Right.
He'll want to wait for that to confirm in order to hand you the AK-47. Right. That way he knows that it can't be pulled out before it gets on the bus and confirmed, and so nobody gets ripped off. So he waits for it to be confirmed. Now. Right now, the driver, he comes away. He's incentivized to drive that bus for 2 reasons. The first reason is transaction fees. So everybody holding up their money, and he's incentivized by a block subsidy. A block subsidy, and what that is this is how the currency is issued. So with each block, new Bitcoins are minted that never were in existence before. The block subsidy started at 50 Bitcoins per block, which happens every 10 minutes. And then every certain amount of blocks, which lines up approximately with every 4 years, it's cut in half. So the first block reward halving came in 2012, and it divided from 50 to 25. And then in 2016, it divided to 12 and a half, which is where we're at now, I'm pretty sure. And then the next one is going to be in 2020, where it's going to go to 6 1/4. So the reason this is because we want to create a non-inflationary currency, no printing, right? Like we have in our bullshit fiat. Eventually, you want the supply to be capped. So what they did was they created this fuck, I don't even remember the curve name, but basically where a lot of Bitcoins would be issued initially in order to incentivize the miners without the transaction fees, because they knew that the traffic on the network would not be that big. And then over time, the block subsidies come down, they decrease in hopes that more people are going to be using the network and bidding on that block space. So you kind of just...
So kind of like an exponential curve where...
Yes,
where
exactly.
So the less that the block subsidies, right? Is that what you said? Mm-hmm. There would be less block subsidies because it's divided, but there will be more people buying into it.
Hopefully. Which has happened so far. So far.
That's what the goal of it is.
Yes. Yes.
So then once it's, 0.25, it doesn't really matter because there's a global market of 7 million people or 7 billion people
that are bidding on that block space.
Got it.
So if I'm following right, you're meeting the demand for the actual currency without inflating the supply of said currency.
Yeah, you can yes. Yeah. So over time, as more and more people come into the currency, as more and more people come into the currency, the bus driver is increasingly subsidized by transaction fees and less subsidized by block rewards. Mm-hmm. And just to give you an idea, I think about 83% of Bitcoins have been mined. So it's more or less we're kind of getting towards the flattening of the curve. After the block halving in 2020, in May of 2020, the inflation rate will actually be less than that of gold. I think it'll be 1.89% or something like that. Okay. So because it'll be 6.25 Bitcoins per block. So now I'm going to get into why that's important. So when you're buying that AK-47, you want that bus driver to get to his destination safely. You want him to get there safely and not be pulled over by highwaymen and robbed, right?
Fucking pirates.
Yeah, you don't want him to be robbed by pirates. Man. You don't need any highwaymen robbing him, because that means that you lost your money and you don't get your AK-47. Right. It's a disruption to the whole thing. Not to mention the other people on the bus. So it's a very disruptive problem is when the blocks don't get, or when the transactions don't get to where they need to go safely. So you can kind of think, and this is the analogy that I kind of made, you can think of you can think of the money that the bus driver collects, both by block subsidy and transaction fee, as his budget for arming himself. So if he is able to collect $500 by both block subsidy and transaction fee, maybe he can buy a shitty AR-15, like a used AR-15. If he has $10,000 to work with, maybe he's got a 50 cal up on the top of that thing. Yeah. If he's got $100,000 to work with,
we got some motherfucking nukes.
No, we got some fire. we got some fire. That guy's getting to where he wants to go, right? So it is very, very important. It is critical. It is the utmost importance is for that bus driver to consistently be able to get to where he needs to go. Otherwise, you have no faith in the network and people abandon it. That is the primary goal is security. You need that guy armed to the fucking teeth and ready to fight. So that is what this process is. The more money that miners can collect, the more secure they can make the network. Obviously, that was an analogy, so it works a little bit different in the digital world. But I think it's fairly. Rollo shouldn't needle me too much on that one.
I can tell you. I think I'm actually kind of like a little bit like sexually flustered at how much work and effort you actually put into.
Dude, I'm telling you. So
I'm a little excited right now. I'm blushing.
Jared, I was DMing you. I was literally playing volleyball earlier today, and I had a notepad, and I was like thinking about it, and I was like just writing down little as I thought of them. I was like, Oh, the bus driver's arming himself. Okay, all right.
I just picture like a Top Gun fucking homoerotic fucking volleyball game going on, and he's like, "Oh, Bitcoin for the guys later."
Hold on, guys. I got some notes to take about Bitcoin.
They're like, "What a fag," and you're like, "Yes, exactly."
Put some pants on, dude.
That's amazing.
Okay, so here is, and now I'm going to relate this just because it's convenient right now to you've probably seen the Bitcoin Cash debate raging.
Yes.
And other currencies and other cryptocurrencies.
Yeah.
And this whole idea of Bitcoin maximalism.
Yeah. So here's the general game plan for Bitcoin is that the bus is going to become the settlement layer. It actually, even though we transact on it now, that will not be the case in the future. We will actually transact on second layer or third layer solutions, because the first layer should be hyper secure, and you should be able to, and the fees will correlate with that. So if you want to move $5 million and you want that guy armed with some 50 cals on the top, you need to pay for it, right? If you want to buy a coffee,
you probably don't give a fuck as much.
I don't care. If he gets robbed on the way, like, all right, like here's another $2, like fine, like, you know, I'm just not that, I'm not super concerned with it.
Mm-hmm.
So the scaling debate that happened in 2017 actually had been bubbling under the surface for years prior to that. Was that in order to scale the network, in order to get more people in and decrease the fees for everyone, we make the bus bigger. Now, rather than building other solutions on top of the bus. Now, this is where the solutions on top of the bus analogy, I was playing volleyball and I was getting really frustrated because I couldn't fucking figure out an analogy for it.
A double-decker bus, man.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
First class, second class, I don't know, something like that.
Yeah. So what happens with the scaling debate is a lot of people said, well, we should just make the block size bigger or the bus bigger so that we can fit more people on it. Now, on a cursory glance, that makes a lot of sense. It sounds very reasonable.
But that would make it less secure, right? Or no? Right. Okay.
So in instances where you have 100 seats and 70 people want to get on, nobody's bidding for a spot on there. Yeah. So the guy is completely reliant on block subsidies, and so maybe the guy has an AK-47 and a knife, you know, but he certainly doesn't have a 50 cal. He can't afford it. That, although maybe he can right now, but as we proceed down the line and the block subsidy becomes smaller and smaller, because the block subsidy is not really supposed to be a long-term part of the thing, right? We've mined 83% or whatever the number is of Bitcoin. So this thing's going away.
It's kind of the startup juice for it.
It's the startup. It's all it is.
It's the
first stage of the rocket. It's the first stage of the rocket, just getting you into space. Gotcha. And then we're really cruising, right? So that's the deal. Is that eventually this guy needs to be able to arm himself and protect against highwaymen solely on transaction fees. And if he can't, it fails because somebody's going to rob him every time. Now, the second part of this is that highwaymen are highwaymen. At the end of the day, it's just a couple guys. But eventually, you're going to go up and start competing against other bus companies and transportation networks. And those are known as governments. And they're very well capitalized. And they have a lot of resources. And you damn well better have the whole goddamn army behind you. Not just an AK-47, not just a knife, not even just a 50 cal. You need the whole goddamn thing. And so you need to be able to secure the network against these people. That is the ultimate fight. That's why I say this is a kamikaze mission in some sense, is that those are the people that you're going to be going up against. And if you can't beat them, it's kind of a failed deal.
And that's kind of already starting now, right?
It's starting. So
the end is nigh.
Yeah, that's the thing that I think it becomes like a like a double-edged blade with the politicians grasping onto Bitcoin, because that has to be Bitcoin's like biggest threat right now. Is before this network gets up and going, and before you do have the capital behind it to protect it, you have the fucking Federal Reserve and the U.S. federal government just fucking biting at the fucking bit to get up in that shit,
right?
Fucking it up.
And you're right, and there's and it's not just the U.S. and the Federal Reserve, but it's also other state actors, right?
Like,
I mean, the European Central Bank would be just as interested in shutting this down. So would the Chinese. So would everybody. I mean, so the idea that they would team up and attack it.
Because 100%. They've teamed up for
real.
more. They've teamed up for less.
You could be bitter enemies with somebody, but if your whole lifestyle is threatened, you'll ally against the third attacker that threatens your lifestyle. So
well, yeah, because this threatens all their power unanimously. So it's an instant fucking threat to every single one of them.
So real quick, it's kind of it's on subject, but like not on the learning of it. So what's up with this whole Iran does a cryptocurrency thing? Have you seen that?
So what the fuck is that?
The gold-backed cryptocurrency?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. I think you can probably chalk a lot of this up to noise. There are some. It's interesting for some reasons, but it's not interesting in the Bitcoin narrative.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah. So I wouldn't. You don't need to waste a lot of time on it. Venezuela did much the same thing with the petro. I'm not sure if you remember that, like 2 year and a half ago.
I kind of remember hearing about it, but I wasn't really.
I wouldn't.
Into it.
It's probably got its own fascinating threads. So if you're interested in it, go. Obviously go read about it and report back, because I'm sure I would be fascinated. But
I feel like it'd be like a penny stock, and you just jump like right at the beginning, right when it happens, and then see what happens.
I wouldn't. No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't touch it. But I'm sure. Like I said, I'm sure it's got its fascinating threads. But as far as a part of the greater picture, if you don't have time to waste, don't waste it.
Okay.
I wouldn't think it's. It's probably bullshit that they're just.
It's probably just what they're saying to go along with everything else that's going on right now.
Yeah. So. And I don't doubt that the Fed will try to issue some, so that there will be, they will deploy every strategy and
oh yeah, Libra is going to be the Fed's.
Yeah, maybe. Dude, we're entering a very weird time, and I am so excited.
That's what I keep saying. I keep saying like technology is what's going to make. It's going to make or break governments. You know what I mean? Like either they're going to finally get ahead of the curve, which they haven't yet, and they show no sign of actually doing it.
Yeah, it's going to be. Yeah, it's
going
to come to a head in the 2020s, I think. And
oh yeah, I think it's going to be crazy, and I'm super stoked for it. It's either Boogaloo time or not Boogaloo time.
Yeah, I know.
And if it's not Boogaloo time, that means it's really good for me.
or bad for you.
Well, yeah, that's true.
Now we have bad marketing.
It's a win-win. It's a win-win.
But besides like a state entity, is there any other threat to Bitcoin? Like, is there any other cryptocurrencies? Can they be considered threats to Bitcoin?
So yes and no. I mean, yes, theoretically, but at this point, practically, no. Not really. And this is probably my I'm probably a de facto maximalist, but I don't really claim that I've said a million times, the only real label I'm comfortable defending is libertarian. So I don't really seek out a whole lot of labels to, I don't know. It just gets like stupid and weird to me. Yeah. But this is probably part of I think that a lot of maximalists almost make out the other cryptocurrencies as a bigger threat than they are, because they're not. Like it's so ridiculous. The Bitcoin dominance unadjusted is like 65%, and that's and so you're looking at 35% of the market cap of the total cryptocurrency space is non-Bitcoin. But that's a bullshit number, because a lot of those cryptocurrency I don't want to like go down a whole rabbit hole, but a lot of those cryptocurrencies are so illiquid that the actual price of them is bullshit. The Bitcoin dominance is probably 80%, probably more than that. And that's Bitcoin against the field. That's not Bitcoin against.
Yeah, that's Bitcoin against everybody else. Yeah,
everything. So the entire idea of talking about other cryptocurrencies as a threat is just insane. I don't know why anybody would waste the time. The idea of talking about the attack vectors and the threats that came about from the forks that happened, Bitcoin Cash and to some extent Bitcoin SV.
Yeah,
I think it's worth talking about those on a social level, on like watching out for the particular ways that they had tried to attack the Bitcoin network. But beyond that, I mean, you're going to the horse tracks and you're complaining about the cat that's in the race. Like it just doesn't make any sense. Like it's just not a close thing at all. And so this is where I get back. Like I said, you have to be ready. The entire point of this battle is to be ready to go to battle with the other bus companies, and those are governments. And there just isn't anybody that is ready to go to battle with other governments. Bitcoin arguably isn't there yet. It's getting close, I think, but it arguably is not. We're in a gray area right now. We don't have to go up against those governments yet. Thank God. But probably
they're already promoting me, and you're underestimating the promotion of government. I mean, there's a reason Al Qaeda went from 400 to 50,000 in a year. The U.S. government's good at promoting things. It doesn't.
Yeah, dude. And so it's. Dude, this is going to be a scrap, dude. And so I think that's why a lot of maximalists get very frustrated. Well, it definitely is why a lot of maximalists get very frustrated with altcoin and particularly other Bitcoin fork people, is that it's like,
stop worrying about those. This is the big one. This is the one that we need to worry about.
This is our chance. Yeah, and that is why. Now, they have some valid points. It is infuriating to some degree, especially because over the course of Bitcoin's history, the majority of it, you could send cash anywhere for almost no fee. But that was always supposed to not be the case, because somebody's got to pay the bus driver to arm himself.
Right.
But it is a change. People were used to, companies were built around the low transaction fees on Bitcoin. And I don't blame them for getting pissed off, because the transaction fees became high as the network became more secure.
Well, but like, honestly, like that should have been something that they should have taken into account, because it was upfront and open, wasn't it? Like was that like a known thing that was going to happen, or was that something that?
Well, yeah, it was a known thing, and they have, and there are layer 2 scaling solutions in the works, and they're already live. I mean, I have a Lightning node, like, and you can't. I've transmit. The guy that we had that I said we're going to have on our podcast on Wednesday, I sent him a Satoshi when I first got my Lightning node up, and that is 1/100 millionth of a Bitcoin. I mean, it's fractions of a cent. I sent it to him for an additional Satoshi and a fee. Now, the Lightning network is less secure than the Bitcoin network, but the Lightning network is fairly secure. I mean, it's absolutely fine. But there is still some user interface stuff that needs to happen. There's still some liquidity stuff that needs to happen. It's coming along. I wish it were coming along faster. But once it does, there will really be no argument, in my mind, against Bitcoin. Right now, like I said, there's not really an argument. We're getting pissed off about having to spend, at times when the network's jammed up, a few dollars to send a few dollars. Like I don't. It's tough for me to get pissed off about that. But as soon as second layer scaling really comes into full swing, and I think that's within the next year, the use case, like, there will be no reason not to use Bitcoin in my mind. Particularly when you settle on chain, when everything's said and done, you'll settle on chain on the most secure network. I mean, the Bitcoin network is the most powerful computing network that known to man, and it happened in 10 years organically.
It's fucking insane.
It's absolute. Yeah, it's insanity.
That's so crazy.
The hashing power of the Bitcoin network, which would be a corollary to the loadout on that bus, is crazy. I mean, it can defend itself against just about fucking anything. There's some, I mean, it would cost so much to overrun that bus.
That's that's dope. Like, honestly, that's just cool. Like,
and not only that, like, to add to the wonderment, to add to the just mystique of the whole thing, to adapt the analogy to what's actually happening, the bus doesn't even really have any weapons on it. It's just weapons that exist in space that will magically come down and appear, like it's just, and nobody knows each other, but they can coordinate and secure the bus. Like it's wild. Like, it's fucking wild.
It's like the best Overwatch system in the entire, anything known to man.
Yeah. It's truly crazy. And I will be personally depressed for a year if anything fails. It's really cool, man. I mean, when you really start reading about it and start to take the analogies that I'm bringing to the table today and seeing how those correlate to the actual network. I mean, you'll just, if you're like me, you'll get obsessed. And I'm not even a tech guy. I'm not a techie guy. I've like forced myself to try to become a techie guy.
Hey, fiber internet.
I do have fiber internet. That's true.
So, all right. So I think my questions would be, do you have any more analogies or things that you thought of that you're like, oh, maybe I should explain these? Because if not, like the only thing that I was going to ask is like, how would us three dumbasses start getting into this but getting into it and being confident in getting into it?
Sure. Well, the first is knowing the right people, and you guys already have like some people that know a good bit about it in your network. So as far as me and Rollo, I'm sure like our DMs are always open.
Yeah.
We know that
and help you out. But the first thing that I would say is that if you're, I think, and a lot of this stuff changes over time. But right now, I think the consensus is the best place to get Bitcoin is Cash App. Well, the best place to get Bitcoin is behind a Wendy's from somebody that you've never met, and right. but the second best place is Cash App. The easiest place is Cash App, to my knowledge. I don't think I've seen anybody come up with a better solution than that. You might have to do KYC AML, but or you definitely do, which is unfortunate. But the first thing that I would say is that when you're getting in, I guess there's two things. The first thing is that when you're getting in to Bitcoin, before you buy any Bitcoin, you should understand why you should never sell it. And that's really hardcore.
Oh, no, it does sound hardcore, but it seems like it's pretty important.
I know you guys are hardcore.
I mean, mostly hard, but yeah.
And then the second thing is you should understand what it is. There's a common phrase in the Bitcoin community that's called being a first-class Bitcoin citizen. And that is taking all of the responsibility to be your own bank, more or less. Mm-hmm. And Bitcoin operates with, and again, I'm going to be a little bit sloppy, but just for clarity, just for ease of use purposes, Bitcoin, you never actually own any Bitcoin. You actually own a key to a lock that all of those accountants keep. And so you possess the right to unlock the Bitcoin and move it somewhere. So you never actually hold any physical Bitcoin, which is actually really cool. It means that when you slip across a border in your Adidas tracksuit, you don't have to bring anything with you except for knowledge. Right?
You gotta slim down that 48-hour pack, you know.
So it's an interesting thing. You don't actually have any physical things with you. There are ways that you can simplify the process of remembering your key, but technically speaking, if your memory is good enough, you can just keep it in your head. And so that presents some really interesting opportunities and some really interesting security features to Bitcoin. But the idea of being a first-class Bitcoin citizen is that you actually want to be an accountant for yourself. So you want, and what I mean by that is you want to be a node on the network. You want to run a Bitcoin node. And what the Bitcoin node does is it downloads every single block of transactions that has ever occurred on the network going back to the Genesis block in January of 2009. So you have recordation of every single block. And you can then verify when you receive Bitcoin, your node will check to make sure it's legitimacy. And what it does is it traces that Bitcoin back from Jared to Luke to Typo to his alimony, from her accountant to, and all the way back until it was issued in 2013 or whatever. And it as part of an original block reward from a mining subsidy. And if it doesn't go back to somewhere as a legitimate issuance from mining, then it's invalid and it will be rejected. The other thing the node does is it enforces consensus rules of the Bitcoin protocol. And part of those consensus rules, for example, one of the more popular ones to talk about is the 21 million Bitcoin cap. There will never be more than 21 Bitcoin. It's actually slightly less than 21 million. It's like a few Satoshis less. But by running that node, you are joining the network of other nodes that enforce this consensus rule. And that makes the network stronger. Other people who are not running a node can connect to you if you enable certain settings, and that's great. I have, if I check my Bitcoin node, I'll have 40 people, maybe connected to my node, that they will send their transaction to me, and then I'll propagate it out to the network. And being a first-class Bitcoin citizen is very important if you want to ensure your sovereignty. Otherwise, you are necessarily trusting someone else. You are trusting someone else to enforce the consensus rules. You are trusting someone else to verify the validity of the Bitcoin that you're receiving for your AK-47. And you have absolutely no say or control in the governance of the network. So if you go to bitcoin.org, you can download a node. Now, it takes some computer resources. So I have an external hard drive that I run my node on, and it's about 250 gigabytes at this point. It's been running for 10 years. So 250 gigabytes, it doesn't take much computing power once it's already synced. It just runs in the background. But a lot of the wallets that you can download that hold the private key to your Bitcoin will automatically connect to that node. The other thing that this does is when you connect to your own node on your own computer, on your own network, you are not querying other nodes for block information. So if you own some Bitcoin and you are not connected to your own node, other Bitcoin nodes could theoretically be tracking your IP address and know that you own certain Bitcoins. So it presents a security flaw. Those nodes could be me, or they could be the NSA. You don't know. You don't know.
Man, I've been being watched by the NSA for fucking years, ever since that goddamn termite inspector.
Well, I didn't even.
It's technically speaking, if you set it up correctly, the NSA would potentially not be able to know that you have any.
Yeah. I didn't even think about that aspect of it. Like they probably have nodes in every city, state, and
if
like
you connect to your own,
it doesn't matter.
Right.
Okay.
Because your node is just connected out to 8 other nodes, and the queries that you send to it are all local, and they don't propagate out to other nodes.
Man, I'm gonna have to go and delete stuff off my terabyte hard drive. And
bro, I'm investing in like a nice PC. I'm tired of having shit computers. I
know, but I'm talking about my.
Here's the cool part is that you don't actually, it doesn't require a lot of resources to run. So people run them on Raspberry Pis. The biggest thing you need right now is storage, because the network, Jesus Christ, fucking.
He's got to pee. Jared just left to pee.
Like 5 guns behind him.
Yeah, that's kind of our house. Well, we're moving right now.
Move.
Yeah,
we're moving.
Yeah, we're getting ready to move. So we had to clean out our safe because it's our buddy's safe, and he's not moving with us.
Yeah.
So Jared had to clean out everything, but I love that he gets up and there's just like his AK, his Nagant. I can't tell from here, but it looks
that's
like
a shotgun on the right.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's crazy. But yeah.
So I don't. So I was saying it doesn't require a lot of resources. I run mine on a low power, like a little Intel NUC or whatever they're called. It doesn't require a lot of resources. The only thing it really requires is a fair amount of storage. I think the blockchain's 260 gigabytes or something like that right now. So just get a terabyte hard drive, and if one of you sets up a node, you guys can all connect to it. I mean, you guys trust each other, right? I mean, ideally you would all want to set up your own node, but like for starters, you could set up a house node and then everybody could connect to it. It's a step in the right direction.
Yeah, I have a terabyte hard drive. It's just full of Okinawa porn and movies. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I have one
Dick
too.
pics in different light.
Yeah, I have one too. But it's got illegally downloaded movies and probably some porn.
Dude, are we talking about our hard drives? Dude, I will never connect my fucking hard drive to anything that has any kind of like fucking electrical properties in it whatsoever, because that shit's gonna get AIDS. Like there's, dude, that
cyber AIDS.
Dude, you never fuck with a dude's deployment hard drive. You don't plug that thing into shit. Like even if you wipe it, that thing's got cancer or something fucking hidden away in a corner somewhere.
It comes back 10 years later, like always.
Some like original 90s virus somehow got on it, and it's like the fucking network can't even detect the thing. It just completely force rape fucks your entire system. Yeah, that's
basically what mine is. I mean, I half the shit that I got is from Okinawa, so like it was just a whole bunch of Marines giving each other their hard drives, and then you taking all the shit off their hard drives. You have no idea what's really on there. You just put it on this.
Yeah,
I ain't picking through that. Just select all, paste, motherfucker. We got it.
I do it I do it in the morning. It's done by the end of the day. I'm fucking gravy. And then I get, you know, I get Back to the Future, and it's like an anal screening of I don't know, the Guardians of the Galaxy, and you're like, wait, this isn't even the right movie. Like we're not even. It's usually how
or it's the movie that's named, but it has like Russian and fucking Korean subtitles, and it's like some camcorder recording, and it's fucking terrible.
I love it.
That's a different life.
Dude, you haven't beat off until you beat off to a camcorder recording of porn at a porn movie theater. That's fucking intense. Some dude's like walking around in the background, can't sit still, find the right seat, and you're like fucking shaky camming on some old ass 70s Bush fucking porn film, trying to yerk it.
People clap
God
at the
damn
end.
it. Yeah, people are clapping at the end. That just fucks my whole mood up.
So those are actually people in your unit.
Oh, bro, there's no privacy, dude. Like on deployment, you have 8 guys in a single room that's about the size of my bedroom now, with just bunk beds stacked in each fucking corner. So what you do is, if you're on the top rack, you take fucking tacks and you tack like your tarp and your fucking sheets around the bed. If you're in the bottom rack, you stuff them under the top mattress. You create like a curtain, and then like you wake up at 3 a.m, you just see somebody's fucking light type laptop light fucking shining through like their silhouette of them like cross-legged in their fucking bed, like beating their dick harder than Chris Brown beat Rihanna.
Is this a belt tied to the top of the bottom rack?
Yeah, dude, this is a belt hanging off the fucking springs of the mattress. He's kind of, and it's like, oh, I get to go on a combat patrol with him tomorrow. This will be fun.
Or you're in a porta-john full of fucking shit jerking off.
Yeah, that happens quite a bit.
I leave on Bitcoin and I come back to jerking off. Like, I love this podcast.
You brought it to jerking off, Jared. Nobody else brought it. We were talking about.
Yeah, we heard you talking about it off camp. Like we heard you like careening into view talking.
Shit, that's me.
We were talking about your guns in the background originally, because you got up and there was like your guns were in the background. And he's like, "Holy shit!"
Well, Jared was DMing.
That's my kit with my big ass fucking knife on it over there too.
You're so cool, bud. Apex Predator.
Apex Predator.
You guys ever launch any raids like, in the rims in there? Just like, do you guys ever launch any raids like in between all y'all's rims in there? Like, just
dude, if you act like I haven't gotten drunk by myself in my house and started clearing rooms for fucking fun, you got me all sorts of fucked up. I swear to God.
No, what these assholes do? These assholes fucking play Is It Loaded? It's fucking
Is It Loaded,
dude. It's not fun.
Game.
It's not fucking fun.
It's the best game in the world.
It's not fucking
I hope
fun,
it's
dude.
loaded.
It should be loaded.
I don't want to die.
I do. What? Who said that? Hey, don't fucking kill yourselves.
I hear it through the fucking house. Like our other roommates do it too. They're like, "Oh, you want to play Is It Loaded?" And then they bum rush to my room like, "Typo wants to play Is It Loaded?" I'm like, "No, I don't."
It's because you're the only one that shows fear at a loaded firearm. Man.
Oh,
so we gotta fucking break that.
Normal one here.
Yeah, you are. I'm glad you're on board.
Yeah, you have 2 parents. Like, what the fuck, bro? Why do we live with you?
Yeah, your parents stay together. You're fucking weird. Fuck out of here.
Normal ass person.
Loser.
I'm sorry, dude. Sorry, my parents love each other.
Oh God.
How you guys like in Arizona?
What?
How you guys like in Arizona?
Oh, dude, I like it out here. Yeah, he grew up out. Luke grew up out here.
I love it.
I mean, in all honesty, it's only like really, really, really hot for like 3-4 months out of the year, and then I get to laugh while my family in upstate New York is getting fucking hit with like 8 feet of snow, and I'm like, dude, it's like 55 degrees and sunny right now in December.
Dude, the Southwest is great. I love the Southwest.
Yeah,
but Texas is a little bit much of the heat.
I knew I loved Arizona, and I saw we were coming back from shooting out in like the Buckeye area out in the middle of nowhere, and we stopped at this fucking Mexican van for food right on the side of the highway, right before you get on the highway. And I'm sitting there, there's like this little podunk gas station across the street, and I watched this like mid-40s Mexican man on a fucking horse with like a cowboy hat and everything stroll up to the gas station, tie his horse. He's got a lever action rifle tucked into a fucking holster on the horse with like a lock on it too. It's like locked in, so nobody can just come out and take it. And he's got the keys on. That's what he's got keys on him for. And then he's got like a fucking 8-inch revolver. I couldn't tell what caliber, but like an 8-inch fucking revolver in his pocket. I'm like, I love this fucking state so much.
Dude, my neighborhood is like that. It's pretty wild.
We need to hook up like a mongoose shooting event. Let's get all the mongooses together.
Yeah, we do. God,
mongooses and the fag mongooses.
The fag mongooses. Yeah,
fag gooses.
Maybe as a part of Childerberg or something like that, we can go out to like a ranch or something like that in Texas and just shoot at shit.
Yeah, that would be
it's
awesome.
Texas. You should literally throw a rock and probably find a fucking range out there.
Oh yeah, I mean, and just people go out to like ranches and stuff like that and just shoot at random shit.
Oh yeah,
that's
definitely.
what I'm talking about.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. Well, that's we were talking about it. I think we were just talking about it on Twitter a while ago, but I'm going to try and get my like license to be able to give people their concealed carries and stuff like that.
Yeah.
No matter what state they're in, you have to get the licenses for like a few different states.
Yeah.
Because they have different whatever, laws
Stupid
about it.
Rules.
Different levels of faggotry.
Yeah, basically. So, and it's something that Maj Tory does. He goes around what is it? Black
Guns Matter.
Black Guns Matter or whatever.
Yeah,
that's the best fucking organization on this goddamn country. I love that thing.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, so I kind of want to do something like that, but it would be cool to be able to like, I probably won't get it within the next year, but within the next couple years, I want to be able to do that, and then at events like that, whether it's and be able to just be like, hey, I can give everybody, if we want to do this, everybody throw in for rounds, we'll bring guns, and then I'll teach you how to get your concealed carry, and then I'll submit the paperwork.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I think that would be dope.
Dude, that would be dope. Yeah, hell yeah, man. That'd be really, really cool. I mean, that's the exact type of shit that I think, Jacob and I like want to have, like, just random organic bullshit like spinning off of this whole thing. Like that'd be perfect. I mean, people could come to Childerberg and get their concealed carry, and then we're all furthering what we think everybody should be doing.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and that's the other thing. So the Insurgency Knitting Circle. I don't know if you've seen those guys yet.
Well, we've been interacting from somebody initiated it last night. I haven't.
I turned them on your podcast.
Yeah, I haven't listened yet. I'm going to like today or tomorrow. But yeah.
Their shit's just super. It'll just stroke the agorist in you so hard, dude. It's all like, it's shit like they have episodes on like how to escape from handcuffs, how to pick locks, throwing food. Sustainable crops, firearms, tactics, what kind of tactical gloves are fucking good, like all kinds of ridiculous shit. I love it.
I love the name and I love that logo. It's so great.
Yeah, it's amazing. But yeah, that's my thing. I think it'd be so. We've been trying to get them. We're in like their little, not their little, because there's actually quite a few people in it. But they have a Discord group, and so we're in that, and they have like, different things like communication section. They have homesteading. They have everything. And we've been trying to convince them to go to Childerberg as well. And I think it'd be really cool because then, eventually, if I get those licenses or whatever, you have that, and then you have these random dudes that'll teach you how to homestead, and then you got these other, and we're all just getting fucked up the entire time. It sounds awesome.
That's literally the entire dream.
That is what we want Childerberg to be.
Yeah,
that's what I want society to be. What are you talking about?
I want my fucking neighborhood to be like that. Yo, you want to get drunk and get our concealed carry permits? Oh, this is America, isn't it?
Do you guys have to have a permit in Arizona?
Nope.
No. If you get a concealed carry permit in Arizona, it basically gives you more leeway in carrying. Like, you can ignore shit, like signs and shit. You can be like, I don't have to listen to that.
Yeah.
But fucking no, it's a licensed carry state. You have a driver's license. You have a gun.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and then like for Typo and I and one of our other roommates, we actually got our armed guard cards. So like you have to go through the state to be an armed security guard or whatever. And I mean, yeah, it was stupid. The class was so dumb. It was like the most idiotic class ever.
Yeah.
But like even with that, I mean, it basically acts as a concealed carry in 7 states or something like that.
Oh,
and
yeah.
But we don't have to have it for
most of the Southwest is pretty lenient.
Yeah.
I mean, there's not a whole, like, unless you went over to California, I guess. Like, I don't think there's a whole lot of places that are going to give you too much shit.
Yeah.
I don't think.
Yeah, that's what's really nice about it. That's, I mean, that's
first dates.
Oh, we're all breaking up and shit.
That's not me. Not my fiber internet.
I got my fiber internet.
Most states that people consider like flyover states, like they don't give a fuck about like gun control really. It's just like major city states like California. Illinois is fucking terrible. I'm from Illinois. Illinois was horrible. New York. Jared's from New York. He knows about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, buddy. I know that all the people in upstate New York did not get rid of their firearms.
I imagine. I mean,
I live in upstate New York. I like it when the fucking city people I'm interacting with are like, "We got rid of guns in New York." I'm like, "No, you fucking didn't. You got rid of some of the guns in New York City because guess what?
You moved the guns from New York City to New York State.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
You didn't disarm those hicks living up in the Appalachian Mountains. I'm sorry.
I mean, it's the same way. I'm from Southern Illinois, so I'm like really far south of Chicago, and it's the same thing. Like, no one gave up shit.
Yeah.
In fucking small town USA. Yep. It's like a fucking arsenal.
Yep. Well, that's why I think it's funny when these like the more the left when they start going on like, oh, you're not going to resist. I'm like, what are you talking about? Almost every single worldwide gun control measure imposed has at the very cap, like the max, a 5% fucking rate of actual compliance. Yeah. Like New Zealand had like a 2% rate. The bump stock bans in the United States where they're implemented had fucking a fuck all rate. Like I think three of the 270 something bump stocks in New Jersey were actually turned in. But
the entire idea of like, even if it's not guns, even if it's not something pertaining to liberty, like if somebody in Texas passed a no snowboards ban, I'm not turning in my fucking.
I'm not turning in my fucking snowboard.
It's gonna be right here. I'm gonna be ready to use it. Like I'm gonna be ready to spread my balls off, and it's just not gonna happen. Like, sorry.
Yeah. I think something like that thin blue line fucker that we were all interacting with earlier. It's something that they miss on. It's like, well, we did still be a criminal. It's like, yeah, well, you don't understand the fact there's a bunch of reptile cocksuckers at the stroke of the pen can make you a criminal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, no, I'm not going to stop being a criminal.
Yeah, go fuck yourself.
Well, it's so annoying. The whole idea of like people when they talk about like, well, why would you even go against the government or the police? They have like all this firepower, and it's like, dude, Afghan's been doing it for like fucking 18 years now. Look how that's going. Like,
they have like a 27% literacy rate, and they're blowing up fucking armored vehicles and the Western equivalent of pajamas and sandals, dude.
I don't know if you guys have talked about this yet, and I know this is starting to open a whole can of worms, and we're already late in this episode. Can I get your quick take on the recent Iranian stuff, because there's been stuff that's been coming out this week, and it just looks like it looks like we're edging in a particular direction that I don't want to be edging.
You mean like the U.S. shooting down like the Iranian drone?
Yeah, dude. Well, no, there was not just that. There was something recently.
The Iranians taking the.
Is that what you're talking about, Luke?
Yeah. The Iranians taking the British oil ship.
The second one. Their second
oil ship. They don't know if it's actually like what the Iranians said, that they were illegally moving oil. Aliens.
Like the Lusitania was a passenger ship.
See, the thing with that is, dude, like, I mean, Scott Horton talks about this a lot. If you apply it to us, like what we are doing to Iran, we would be at war with them already. Like, I know we talked about before, like we fly in their airspace all the time. I mean, George W.H. Bush shot down a commercial airline in Iran that killed like 200 civilians. Yeah. Like, there's so much shit that goes on that, like, everyone's like, what makes mainstream news is like complete bullshit. Like, yeah, I'm not saying Iran's good and what they're doing is right, but they're doing what any other nation would do. They're trying to defend themselves, show force. So it's like, hey, we're serious that if you fuck with us, we're going to retaliate with whatever any way we can.
And the idea that Iran is good or bad is like almost insane in itself. Just like any other country, that would be like going onto a slave plantation and judging the slaves as bad because of what their slave owners are doing. Like,
exactly.
It's like 38 million fucking people, that most of which are probably just trying to get their next meal, and you're just like, Iran is bad. Like, that's
like, one of the things that I saw in Afghanistan was the fact you go outside of Kabul and you go out into the fucking countryside of Afghanistan. Those people don't give a fuck who's in charge.
They don't even know Afghanistan.
They don't know who the president is. Yeah. They don't care who the president is. Most of those fucking people are just like, you fuck with my farm, I'm gonna go grab all my boys with our AKs and we're gonna come fucking shoot you, and then we're gonna go back to bed. Like, that's there's no. It's so you look at that and you're just like, there's no fucking. And you're not going to act like for half a second that even when the original regime before we went to Afghanistan had power, that those people gave fuck all about that regime in those villages. And I'm talking about the real people, not the fanatics that fucking our mass media likes to try to show as being everybody in those countries. I'm talking about your fucking farmer that's waking up every morning with his fucking 17 kids because that's their farmers, and going out and fucking sowing his plantation like that. Like, you're bombing that dude.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's crazy, man, but it just seems like the last month or so
I don't think, at least with the Trump's first presidency, I don't think we'll see anything escalate enough to go to full scale war.
It'd be the end of
his first presidency.
But if he gets reelected, what does he have to lose at that point? I don't know. So that's a different.
He can feed that I'm strong from other people doing shit. Fucking complex that politicians have. They all feel that
that's a good reason to vote for Marianne.
Say again?
What was that?
Would you say that's a good reason to vote for Marianne?
Marianne for president.
I don't know, man. I think I'm on the like the Boogaloo wagon. I think Kamala Harris is our best proponent for a good Boogaloo to get fucking rolling. Like, I feel like she's just gonna go fucking balls to the wall with that shit, and that's kind of what I'm tired of all this like creep fucking sidestep bullshit into tyranny. Let's just get this shit going, man.
Yeah.
I'm not a collapsitarian.
Yeah, you are. It's really weird though, because like me and Luke are the anarchists, but Jared's the minarchist, but he's like the one that's always like big promoter of the Boogaloo. Like, he's the number one promoter of the Boogaloo.
I don't know, man.
Dude,
I just hate shit, dude. That's all it is, man. Everything just makes me so damn angry, and I think you're just naive to think that any of this shit can be fixed with fucking voting. Like, nah, man, this shit's done. This shit's been destined to collapse since like the fucking 1900s. Like, it's just a matter of time. Whether it happens in my lifetime or the next 5 years is anybody's fucking guess. But there's no way the amount of corruption, bloodlust, and fucking greed that is permanent in the elite political class of this fucking society is going to continue to permeate like it is, and it's going to end in anything fucking with rainbows and fairies. You're an idiot to believe that.
Oh, actually, Carr, I was going to ask you, like, well, what side of the political sphere would you think you were on before calling yourself a libertarian? Like,
the agorist beauty that we enjoy and love today.
Before so I'm like a rare case, and I'm not trying to be like the true Scotsman or whatever, but I'm the rare case that I didn't identify as anything prior to being a libertarian. I was pretty much apolitical. I was into, surfing and drugs and girls until I was
into being an actual human being instead of a reptile sucker.
18 or 19, or when was Ron Paul was 07 and I was 19. So I think that, and then I was like, holy shit, this guy like makes a shitload of sense. And I wasn't like, I mean, by the end of the campaign, I was like, this guy has knows a thing or two. And then I bought a couple of his books, and then it spiraled out of control from there. So I didn't, my dad is red meat. I was telling you, he's a Vietnam vet. And then my mom is, I would say she's like blue dog almost, like probably a little bit more left leaning, but like when you really press her on anything, she's probably more conservative. And I just kind of didn't align with either of those things. And particularly, as you guys know, I mean, you guys aren't that much younger than I am. Growing up during the Bush years with it was pretty easy to not really get on board with the Republicans all that much.
Oh yeah. For me personally, it was like I was as I was coming into like the years where I could like understand politics really, and it's like at the same time that I'm learning, oh, like Republicans or like my parents are Republicans. They're like, oh, we're small government. We want, the government to stay out of stuff. And then I'm looking at Bush, like past the Patriot Act. And I'm like, wait a second. There's something crazy going on here right now. That doesn't seem very small, man.
Yeah. And I've always been, and I know everybody's, it's like kind of overused, but I've always been pretty anti-authority, not anti-authority for the sake of being anti-authority, but you need to explain why I should be listening to you. And when people
respect is given, not earned.
Yeah, and there are plenty of people like there are people that I've worked for that I'd follow them to hell and back, and because I know that they know what they're talking about, and I know that I learn a lot from them, and so on and so forth. But there's a lot of people that like seem to think that they have granted authority that and I'm like, nah, fuck you. Like
that was me.
I don't need a part of that.
I think that's the kind of like goes into like the differences in like leadership style that you see in the Marine Corps. Even like for me, from looking at it, I was more of like this is why you will listen to me. This is why you will respect me, and fucking like kind of laid it out and portrayed who I am, and I gave them the reasons as to why they should listen to me, and it worked effectively for me. Whereas you have some other dude who's like, I'm just gonna yell at you, as loudly and as much as possible until you listen to me. It's one of those like differences in that type of shit.
Yeah, and then
it's like too many people just they think just because they've achieved something that they should be treated with respect by everybody else around them, and it's like, no, go fuck yourself.
Well, this is more for Jared and Luke, but like when you talk to your parents about like libertarian ideas, do they ever tell you like, oh, it's just a phase? Like
yes, all the time. And my parents think me not being a racist is a phase. Like, are you kidding me? Like, they're like fucking me not hating black people. It's like, oh, you're just still young. You don't see it yet. I'm like, what? Yeah, dude, that's my fucking life. I don't.
All right, Molyneux, chill out.
Yeah, no, man.
The Noogaloo.
Hey,
the Noogaloo.
But hey, now they're Larry Sharp supporters though, so I'm making progress.
All right.
Yeah, I got them my dad voted for the first time in 12 years, and he went out to vote for Larry fucking Sharp. I got him to listen to one video by that man, and then he actually went out of his own accord, went to a rally for him, and listened to him speak personally. It was like, this guy's it. This guy's awesome. And they actually went out and voted fucking libertarian. I was like, I mean, it's still voting, but it's still like, I've got my parents from like neoconservative Republicans that are like, this Larry Sharp guy makes a lot of sense. I'm like,
dude, that's a step in the right direction. I mean, voting doesn't matter anyway. So like, it's not like they did anything, in my view, bad. Like
I want the mindset there. I care less about the voting, but more of the fact that what they're supporting now is more ideologically consistent.
I think if you took a segment of the most hardcore anarchists and just said, hey, a bunch of neoconservatives went out and voted for Ron Paul, they'd be like, well, fuck.
Yeah, that's cool, man.
Yeah, I mean, it signifies a shift in viewpoint. Voting doesn't matter anyway, so who gives a shit about that? But like, it's a significant shift in viewpoint. So that's awesome. Because Larry Sharp, everything I've heard from him, and I granted I didn't get him all the way, but like he seems hardcore.
Oh yeah.
Oh, he was amazing. Yeah. Like, because I'm from New York, so then I see a viable libertarian, like a real libertarian candidate, the man that's sitting out there and be like, ANCAPs are my friends. They're the ideology of our party. We can't dispose of I love ANCAP. I'm not an ANCAP, but I fucking love ANCAPs.
Yeah.
And it's like, and everything he had, like, this is a man that's sitting on stage, and he was like, and they're like, well, if you do this, they're going to cut federal funding. And he's like, good, get rid of it. I don't want federal funding. He's like, get rid of it. He's like, I will do everything in my power to get rid of federal funding. And they're like, well, how are you going to like fix things with less money? And he's like, how are you going to fix things with throwing more money?
He in a lot of ways, not stylistically or aesthetically, but in a lot of ways reminds me of Harry Brown. He just has the ammo at hand to respond to whatever, and in a consistent, clear way that conveys the message. So,
hey, he's a Marine, man. He was a Marine. He don't give a shit. He's just gonna hammer you. You can't go after that, man.
That's the thing with like it like anytime they have debates on like anything, if you always notice, like everyone always says the libertarian wins, and I think that means something as much as like most debates, at least public debates, are always like trash. Like they talk for like 2 minutes and like you don't really get the full point across or anything like that. But just the fact that like everyone's like, oh yeah, that guy won, and it's like, if that guy like convinced you in a debate that he was the best debater, like why aren't you voting for at least that party more? I don't know. It always confused me.
Would you say libertarians are the master debaters?
I mean, I think for
that
me,
wasn't a serious question, Jared.
Oh shit!
You're trying
I thought it. Fuck you.
Potato.
Oh, dude. Hey man, sometimes I'm slow. Sometimes I'm slow up to that.
Well, and my thing with that typo. So, well, at the beginning, your first question that you asked us, like your parents, like, oh, it's just a phase. Well, and I feel like they kind of feel that way. My parents are super blue. They're true blue, like true blue. I mean, I have lesbian parents. They could only associate with the Democratic Party in the last 20 years, you know? So, but I did just get my mom to start reading the Libertarian Manifesto.
Murray Rothbard?
Yeah, Murray Rothbard.
Yeah.
For New Liberty?
Yeah.
Hey, that book is amazing.
That's heavy.
I know. Well, I started reading it, and I started reading it a little bit ago. And I mean, most of the things I've come to my own conclusions before I started reading Rothbard and things like that, mostly listening to people. I mean, all
Gary
the podcasts. Well, Gary Johnson was one of the first, like, I can't stand him now, but he was one of the first people that really got me into what libertarianism is. And I didn't really understand it at that point, but I mean, he got me here. And then, but yeah, I got her to download it, and she's going to start reading it.
Dude, and that's a great book. And especially for people, that book is great for people who have kind of like, pragmatic's not the right word, but like kind of like, I don't know, like mechanical minds, like gear need to turn, it's because it really provides like kind of solutions to how a lot of the stuff would happen in the free market. I really love that book. I don't talk about it enough. That's a great book. Yeah.
But yeah. And my parents are stupid smart. Like they are ridiculously smart. So that was,
Rothbard's just great.
I know
it comes into and out of vogue to just kind of like rip on Rothbard, but man, I fucking love Rothbard.
I know, reading any of his stuff, like how can you? Even
when and there's stuff I don't agree with him on, but even the stuff that I don't agree with him on, it's thought provoking, it's stimulating, it's like really enjoyable read. I really like him.
Yeah,
it's not anything that even if you disagree with him, it's not without intelligence that he's saying. Exactly. And it's not without an argument to it.
I see what you're doing.
It's not something that you could just dismiss.
What you're doing here, you sneaky dickhead.
Well, he just breaks things. He breaks things, like you said, like it's very mechanical, and it's just like it's very much this is how things work, and from understanding how this works, this seems like the most viable solution. Yep.
And this is this, then this must be this, and this is how we must proceed. Like that's that's just how it is. And something like, because like For New Liberty, man, I'm so glad you brought that book up, because that is a great book for it answers a lot of those questions, because there are some, like, I remember when I was like really starting to look into, when you first get into libertarian, or when I first got into libertarianism, I didn't really understand. I didn't know that anarchism was a thing. And then as I started to read it and I started to see the word, and you just kind of associate it with chaos. From your schooling, you're like, ooh, like what the hell is this? And then when he just like catches you as you're falling. He's like, no, it's fine. Here's
okay. It's okay.
No screams, only dreams now.
but yeah, exactly. That's how he is. It's just like, I remember being like getting out of the military and being like, oh, I'm a libertarian, like I'm a libertarian. I didn't know really much about like Murray Rothbard. I didn't know shit. I didn't know jack all about libertarianism. I knew fucking Gary Johnson and
socially liberal and fiscally like
I was gonna say I just out of curiosity, and I'm not like attacking you. Why did you say you were libertarian? Were you attracted to like, was it Gary Johnson or like what?
Well, no, it wasn't Gary Johnson. It was that idea of what socially liberal and that idea. It was a great slogan, like by far one of the best slogans. It doesn't mean shit.
People kind of rip on it, but honestly, like for people that are willing to like think just a little bit, like that's not awful. It's not an awful entrance.
Yeah, I don't think it was bad because when you're stuck in that box of like blue or red and that's your only options, and someone comes to you with like, I'm socially liberal and fiscally conservative, and you're like, wait, there's another option, at least a third option, and it kind of breaks the barrier of like, oh my god, there's a third option. And then once you get to that third option, it just expands your ideas, like maybe there's not just a third option. There's
you're
another
mainlining heroin and reading Anatomy of the State curled up in your bed.
Exactly. Go ahead, Jared.
Oh, sorry. For me, it was like that. Gary Johnson brought me in. Then not long after Gary Johnson brought me in, I see the debates, and it was actually Austin Peterson that made me stay. Dude, like that. Yeah, like he's a fucking hardcore, like real fucking like I think he borders between like a classical liberal to like a minarchist.
Yeah.
But he's like that man's about his shit, and like the way he spoke and everything like that. Hearing him at the debates, I was like, that's the man my ideology aligns with at that time. I think I'm a little bit more extreme than he is now, but he's still awesome.
He used to like waffle on like, do I believe the NAP? So, and like I don't really like Austin Peterson all that much, but I will say this. Well, I mean, whatever. Like he's great. He's a great landing.
I'm far past him now, but I did it. The way he debated and the way he talked about stuff was really awesome.
Hardcore Second Amendment guys and hardcore kind of like that, like constitutional guys and stuff like that. I think he's decent enough gateway drug for that kind of stuff. He would waffle on whether he believed in the NAP and stuff like that, and for media attention. But I will say this: the guy could articulate points and argue them, and like it was really fun to watch him do some of that stuff, despite my hesitations about him as an individual that's representing libertarianism. If you lobbed him something on property rights or guns, you could just see him foaming at the mouth, like he was gonna fucking thing out of the goddamn park.
And honestly, based off his Twitter as of recently, I think he's actually going further down the rabbit hole. I think he's slowly, like ever since his runs, his like election runs, I think from his Twitter, I think he's going deeper down the rabbit hole.
I hope so, but I will this bit of caution is that he's done that before, and he did that.
Oh, has it? Yeah.
For people that were already pretty, hardcore in, 4 or 5 years or 3 or 4 years ago, he does this, and it's a little bit of like a media thing.
Gimmick.
But if he proves himself to be true blue, like I will welcome with open arms, because I'll welcome anybody with open arms. But I would caution anybody that like enjoy his stuff, promote his stuff to people who are Second Amendment guys and stuff like that you want to bring further to your side, but be cautious, because it sometimes is a little bit of a troll.
I feel like entering into the Libertarian Party, I feel like for anybody, like any newcomer, is just one tricky fucking obstacle course. Well, you got everything from like your Austin Petersons, Gary Johnsons to like fucking Liberty Hangout and fucking everything else. And they enter into it. And that's where I think a lot of these dipshits get like the, well, libertarians are just Republicans that smoke weed. It's like, yeah, if you fucking think Liberty Hangout's fucking libertarians, dude. Like, that's not... Yeah.
Well, the thing is that with Liberty Hangout is that they're not even Republicans that smoke weed. They're just Republicans.
Yeah. They really
are. They're not even Republicans. They're not even that fucking far yet.
They don't even smoke weed.
Well, yeah, and that's what I was saying with the Gary Johnson thing. That was the thing that cracked me, and it was like, I don't know, it made, like, for me when I was growing up, like the social issues were like my big thing. Like I didn't know shit about economics or anything like that. So like the social issues were big. First off, my parents were gay. So it was like, they couldn't have civil unions. They couldn't even get married and things like that. So it was like a big deal for me. And then, I grew up kind of in a a lower class neighborhood in West Side Phoenix. So a lot of my friends were Hispanic or Black. And, I saw the things that they went through that maybe I went through kind of in similar ways, but not completely. Yeah. And then the SB 1070 bill dropped, and it was like, that was the big Joe Arpaio bill that it was basically like stop and frisk in New York, where they could just ask everybody whatever they wanted. Like, hey, give me 3 forms of identification. And so like the big, like after joining the military, it was like, I didn't like the Democratic Party at all anymore. I was like, you guys suck.
Yeah. And
I kind of went more conservative, but then Gary Johnson came into view, and I was like, oh, it's kind of more of where my speed is. This is a very centrist kind of ideal. And that's very much how Gary Johnson portrayed him and it portrayed himself. And then, I mean, in the 3 years that I've been out, I mean, I got out and I was like, I'm a libertarian. Like, I know I'm a libertarian. Red and blue is dumb. And then, and I remember talking about anarchists in, one of the groups, and I was like, God, anarchists just make us look fucking bad. They're
you ain't wrong.
Anarchists aren't real libertarians.
They're the ones that make us. They're the Tea Party. They're the progressives, or they're the ones that make libertarians look bad. And within the last 3 years, and I think mostly in the last year and a half, it like accelerated. And I was like, nope, fuck the state, fuck everything. War's bad. The economy is shit right now. We need to fix it. Like, and it just went downhill from there. And now I'm sitting doing a anarchist podcast with 2 other Marine vets.
Yeah. Which is ready.
This is our flow state. This is our flow state right now.
Yeah, I'm going to Childeberg next year. Gonna
No, we are. Just to put it out there, we're all 3 of us. I think are 100% have plans to make it out to Childeberg next year. I mean, we live together, so who's driving? Really, that's the real question of how to get out there. Who's driving?
Yeah, who are you gonna peg it on?
Probably Typo. Fuck him.
Yeah, fuck Typo.
Yeah, that's my vote.
I knew it.
It's
so Typo can drive, and me and Luke can get drunk in the backseat. It'll be an adventure.
Yeah, we'll just play. Is it loaded the entire way?
I'll crash into a fucking 18-wheeler. I don't give a fuck.
You would be doing us a favor. Shut up.
Dude, it's gonna be great when you guys come down. I think that this Childeberg is gonna be. There's like a lot of people that are kind of mumbling about coming down, and then not to mention that there's just gonna be a shitload of people at the LNC the entire time. So like, why not bump down to the park and drink a beer with a couple people, So even if there isn't a shitload of people camping, but I think there's probably going to be a lot of people swinging through, I would think.
Oh, we're getting a 2-man tent, and then we're all going to share it.
I might take the 2 a.m. to 3 a.m. shift.
That's what's up. We'll post a fire watch. By fire watch, I mean fiddle everybody's buttholes watch, but same thing.
I might bring my laptop and my belt.
That's mongoose energy. That's right there.
We're gonna make you a mongoose when we get down there, bud.
A mongoose.
You better. Okay, so if you want to be a mongoose, you need to bring your yeet cannon, your Adidas tracksuit, a belt, some lube, and I think
lube.
like a hot.
Why you need lube?
Iron, like a hot
Why you
iron.
need lube, pussy?
Dude, that's for me to know and all you to find out.
Lube is like condoms. Why the fuck do I need it?
Honestly.
I need the risk in my life, or it's not fun.
Why do you think we bring belts?
The Adidas tracksuit motif is like my favorite thing in the world. I just like the stupid ass pictures of you guys like pasted onto just like Chechen rebels and stuff like that.
That's not Gregory M. Mostly, man. He just like
dude,
he's
Greg,
a meme. He's such a meme god. I love him.
Greg is very funny. I've been in like a chat with him for like 6-8 months now, and he is so fucking funny.
Dude, he's always at the top of my DM list. We're always chatting back and forth. It goes from everything of him like throwing fucking meme caches at me to like get into like really in-depth mechanical discussions about like firearms.
Yeah,
because I think he talks to me about it all the time because I'm like 100% about it, and then he's like,
oh yeah, because he probably tries to talk to our chat, and like we're all retards on that stuff. So
he uses me for his gun outlet.
Loaded, and like I just hope I don't have to use it. Like, whereas Greg's just like, yeah, well, I've got like my rifles located here, here, and here, and here. Carry here. Got the whole.
It's like have you guys seen that Matt Carr? You probably haven't seen it, but it's this guy Matt Best. He does Black Rifle Coffee Company.
Yeah, aren't they? Are they like libertarians, or are they kind of like?
Oh no, they're fucking like conservative.
All right.
If they're thin blue line, they're the typical nationalists.
I saw you guys interacting with them, and one of you was like, somebody was suggesting them to you to be on the podcast, and they're like, I don't know if they agree with our views.
Well, no,
they're gonna take one look at a couple of our episodes and be like,
yeah, that was me. Yeah, I was talking to one of the guys. He wants to put us on one of his NASCAR cars or something like that, like biting the bullet. But he wanted to bring Black Rifle Coffee Company and all that, and I was like, yo man, like we'd be down, but I don't know if they're gonna want to put their name next to ours.
That's not gonna look good.
But where I was going with that was there's like he throws up videos every once in a while, Matt Best, and there's like this video, and I just picture Greg being like this, where Matt Best is like, this is my everyday carry. And he like pulls it out of his pants, and it's like a regular 9mm. And he's like, this is my car carry. And it's like a 45. And he's like, and this is my other one. And he starts pulling like just these M240 Bravos and like an M1 Grand. And he like pretends
they're all
like, yeah, they're like in his pants and shit.
We need a meme of the Adidas tracksuit and the combat loadout of like a laptop and a belt, like.
Well, you heard it here, Mongooses. No excuse when this episode drops and you hear this. The fighting Mongooses at Biting the Bullet need a meme of either all of,
like
of
all
us getting
belts and laptops.
So you're talking to Greg. Greg, we need you to do something.
Yo, that's what needs to be on the fucking patch. It needs to be a Gagsden flag and a fucking mongoose with a belt around its neck and a fucking laptop next to it.
With a helmet on. It has to have a helmet on. I'm dying on that hill. It has to have a helmet on.
And it's called a Gagsden flag.
Gagsden flag.
What did I say? Oh shit. I'm the slow one now.
Oh, you fucking did it too, you bitch! Trying to make fun of me earlier.
Oh shit, that's fucking amazing. This was beautiful.
All right, what do you think?
It's so worth it.
Is this getting into wrap up time for the show now?
Probably.
Yeah. Oh god. We run long with guests because I don't think we have any way of really checking the time as we go, so there's no way to spot check us. So we just keep going.
Well, as long as it's rolling, man, keep it rolling. You know what I'm saying?
Fuck it.
People can listen to a 2-hour episode. God damn it!
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know.
Shit, people listened to the Whiskey and Rebellion episde, and that was fucking 2 hours.
And I'm barely coherent for half of it. I don't even know what the fuck I'm saying.
Yeah, we've been meaning to talk to you about that,
dude. Yeah, this is your intervention, buddy.
Dude, I don't remember shit from that episode. I was having a great time.
We know.
Dude, I was having a great time, man.
One
beer turned into another, and then they're all gone.
Yeah. Car, I don't know if you saw the pictures, but he literally passed out on our kitchen floor.
No, I didn't.
Oh yeah.
Oh wait, I saw him. Did Greg meme one of them or something?
Yes.
He cut him out, but he was literally. It wasn't even like our kitchen. It was like our side room that has a kitchen table. He was underneath the kitchen table, passed out.
Go big or go home, motherfuckers. Now you know what to look for at Childerberg, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got Jared passing out in random places, and Typo's gonna argue with you about random shit that makes no sense. The next day, not remember it.
Yep.
Perfect.
But I'll be right.
Come to Childerberg, everyone.
All right. Car, go ahead, throw out your plugs. You can include Bird Archist if you want, I guess.
No, I don't, because he's already ahead of me in followers, so it's strike that.
But I do want to promote Childerberg, where you have the opportunity to give the dates and everything you guys are looking at for next year's, where to follow that and everything like that.
Oh God, I'm deer in the headlights. Just go to childerberg.com. It's DERBURG.com. I don't know the dates, and I keep throwing out wrong dates, so I'm just not going to say the dates. It's May. It's late May next year. Jacob from Tasting Anarchy is handling the bulk of that. It's going to be a good time. It's a big libertarian meetup in Texas outside of Austin. We're going to do it during the Libertarian National Convention and try and rob some people from them and convert people over to the fighting Mongooses rather than the political class. You can find me over at Friends Against Government podcast with a co-host who shall not be named.
Nerd.
Nerd.
All right,
it's the summer. I know. I saw the tweet, man. It's the summer of Bird, apparently.
Yeah, that's what it looks like, which is really unfortunate. It's going to become very aggravating.
It's Road Toad. It's Road Toad all over again.
Yeah, I know, man. Yeah, Road Toad all the way through the winter, and now it's the summer of Bird. It's getting getting pretty tough for Car Camp It. But thanks a bunch for having me on, guys. This has been a blast.
Yeah, we had a great time, man. We'll definitely have to have you guys back on, and I can't wait for fucking Childerberg. I can't fucking wait. That's gonna be so much fun.
Get all you guys on to the Fatcast all at once. We had Jared on earlier, but we need the whole squad.
The squad.
Oh God.
We're down.
That's gonna be one of your longest fucking episodes ever.
Yeah.
4 hours. Let's go.
Oh God.
Jared's gonna pass out halfway through.
Yeah.
But no, anytime. I mean, from my experience, dude, being on your guys' show was a fucking blast. It's not much different from doing like this show. It's just it's a great time. So anytime, and I know
very faggy. It was very. I felt
all the fag, and I wanted nothing less.
All right. Well, all right. Jared, go ahead. Throw out your stuff. Throw out your stuff.
All right. You can find me on Twitter at the Mongoose 0861.
And then
at the real typo, because I'm the only real typo.
I hate you.
Such a douche. And then I'm at Keep It Real Luke. That's the Biting the Bullet podcast. I hope you guys enjoyed. Anybody have any last final words?
Just as always,
I wanted to note how
stay frosty, Mongooses.
I want to note how heterosexual your handle is, Luke.
Like the Keep It Real Luke. I made that shit in fucking high school.
I just want to
can't change it now. It would confuse too many people.
Yeah, exactly.
I just want to thank Carr for coming on. You were a big help when we started our podcast, and really appreciate the support all the way through, man.
Dude, I'm just stoked you guys actually we went through the motions and made it. I love the podcast, and you guys are filling like an incredible niche in this community. So I'm glad you guys are doing it.
Fuck yeah, man. All right. Well, that's the motherfucking show.